So one of the funny things about Arizona is that it could be 100, right? And then the weather's super hot and super uncomfortable. And the next day, when we're at about this time of year when the weather's about to change, it could be 100. And then the next day, it could be, 57 degrees outside and you had a storm for 2 days. It is so weird. So we had a storm yesterday. It brought the temperature down. It was actually kind of cold last night. Like I had to wear a sweatshirt, later in the evening. And the funny thing is that I woke up this morning and apparently it rained again last night. So it's actually really chilly right now outside. I believe it's like 57 or 60 degrees or something like that. It might be closer to 60 now because it was 57 when I first woke up. But it's raining, and the crazy thing is that next week we're gonna go back into the 90s. So it's so bizarre. It's just so bizarre. It's kind of funny, and we're in October, by the way. So you have to think about that. Like most of the country's already feeling cold weather and everything else, and we're kind of teeter-tottering back and forth, from the 60s to the 90s to the 60s to the 90s, right? So, but the good news is that the weather is amazing. I love it when it's a little bit cold like this. It's just perfect to wear a sweatshirt and run. So I'm excited to be running this morning. It is a little wet. It's a little rainy. There's a little bit of a mist in the air, but I'm loving it. So with that, I'm off to the races. I'll see you guys in a little bit. Good morning. All right, so I've always said when the weather is perfect, it's a lot easier to do this. And today I am so excited because I actually went just a little bit more. I went to 3.54 miles. I know it's not a lot. It's just 0.04 of a mile more than my record distance of 3.5. But the thing is, it doesn't matter. I mentioned before that somebody had told me a long time ago. Actually, this guy used to play for the Niners. He told me a long time ago. He said, it's kind of funny, but football games are won 1 inch at a time. That's it. It's not about the 50-yard pass or the 35-yard pass. Don't get me wrong, we love watching those, right? We love that bomb throw that's caught at the end zone. We know that's dope. That's great. But here's the thing. That's not how you win football games. The real football game is won through the grind. Through that 1 inch, that 1 yard, 1 yard at a time, 1 inch at a time. That's how you win. That's how you win. Ball games. For those of you that like football. And so when I think about 0.04 more than the last week that I had at 3.5, right? It's exciting to me because it tells me that I'm progressing. I ran 3.5 miles not too long ago. It was my first time that I jumped a half a mile from 3 to 3.5. So needless to say, it's not that I'm gonna jump a half a mile every couple of days. It doesn't work that way. In life, it doesn't work that way either. This is the whole thing that I keep talking about, instant gratification, how we get stuck in this idea that if we do something, something's owed to us, something's gonna happen for us. And it's not. It's not. Look, sometimes, people get really negative about stuff. And we feel like nothing's going our way. And it's because we're thinking that we want what we want when we want it. Sometimes you have to take a step back. And you have to remember that God, the universe, whatever your belief system is, it's going to listen to you, but it's going to listen to you and it needs to really understand that you want something. It's not just going to give you the first thing you want. Think about how that would be. Imagine yourself, right? You're 11 years old. You go to the zoo and you're totally excited about the elephants, right? And you're like, oh my God, the elephants are so cute. They're so big, their ears, their trunk, this, that, the other. And you're ecstatic about watching the elephants. And on the way home, all you're thinking about is how you wish you had an elephant. Imagine if you got an elephant instantly. What would happen? You get home and you're thinking, I want an elephant, and all of a sudden you have this, 2-ton elephant in your living room. And you find yourself going, wow, I didn't realize that I was gonna have to, clean up 700 pounds of crap every morning. That's a real problem. Can you imagine if we got everything we wanted right when we said we wanted? Right? I mean, I can tell you right now, there's been plenty of times in my life when I was at a, at a nightclub or at a bar or at a party or event, and I saw this girl and I was like, wow, if I could just have that girl for my girlfriend. And then you get to know them a little bit and they start talking, and then 5 minutes into the conversation, you're like, whoa, we're gonna be friends and I'll say hi to you when I run into you, right? You're thinking that in your head, right? And the same goes for girls, right? I mean, I'm sure you've seen that guy that looks all, Mr. Baywatch, right? And then he opens his mouth and you're like, oh dear God, save me. Somebody please come and take me away from this table, right? Or you go to that dinner date and you're texting your friends saying, please call me. Tell me that my house is burning down, right? I gotta go. Let's face it happens to everybody. But see, the thing is, we don't think about that when we're thinking about the things we want. All we think about is how much we want it and how much we want it right now. I want success right now. I want to be thin right now. I want to run 5 miles today. Nothing in life works that way. You have to gain 1 inch at a time, 1 pace at a time, 1 stride at a time. You got to increase your speed 1 second at a time. Consistent focus. I keep talking about this, and I've used that analogy about the consistent drop of water will pierce a hole through concrete. We've seen it. We've all been there. You've gone on vacations to other countries where you see that stuff all over the place, or you've been to grandma's house where the gutter drops the water and you see the hole on the concrete. We all know that happens. We all know that it does. But that water didn't make that hole in the concrete on the first splash or on the first storm. It took consistent focus and time. And that's the reason why I was so excited about my run today. Is because it's just 0.04 of a mile, right? It's literally like 400ths of a mile. To put it into perspective, 400ths of a mile. That's how much more I ran today. And I'm excited because 400ths of a mile means I ran more. Right? And that's how you got to think about these things. When you think about the instant gratification and you think about what are you going to get, you're in the what is owed to me mentality. I did this, what do I get for it? I drove my friend to work, what am I going to get from that? I did something extra at work, am I going to get a raise? Right? Am I going to get my schedule that I've been wanting? Am I going to get a promotion? I mean, I finished my report a week early. Do I get a promotion? Right? We're in this instant what is owed to me. And I think there has to be a shift. And little girl of mine, I hope you're paying attention to this. There has to be a shift. If you find yourself thinking about what am I going to get from what I just did, you're in that owed mentality. Something is owed to you. And you have to shift that to I'm super happy that I have mentality. I am grateful mentality. I finished my report early for work, and I'm grateful to have a job. I am grateful that I was able to get to work early. I am grateful that I was able to get my homework done. I am grateful that I got to go run this morning. I am grateful that I lost 100ths of a pound. Because every forward motion is progress. And nothing is owed to you. So you have to have the mentality of being grateful for all the things that you have. Because nothing is supposed to be given to you. Nothing. If you think about it, when you were a baby, and I talked about this before, when you were a baby, you had to work super hard just to crawl. Nothing was given to you. You had to learn how to take care of yourself. Now, granted, while you were in the process of learning on how to wipe your butt and how to take your own shower and how to get dressed, somebody had to help you. Of course. But at the end of the day, after a while, nobody came to you and said, hey, let's go wipe your butt. After a while, you were like, hey man, I got this. I learned how to do it. And guess what? The person that used to wipe your butt, they didn't want to wipe your butt anymore. They had wiped it long enough. They were over. They were happy that you were like, yes, I'll take over this job. They were like, thank God, right? I remember when my kid was a baby, I used to tell people, man, I feel like I'm up to my elbows in poop. Because all I did was change diapers. Man, I went through diapers. For those of you who are not parents, let me tell you, you get kind of, you get like this, you get to a point where your mind just can't think of changing another diaper again. And guess what? You change 100 more. That's just what it's like to be a parent. You know, I was always lucky. I worked from home when my kid was a baby, and so I was around her a lot when she was a baby, and I spent a lot of time changing diapers. And by the time she was old enough and she was like, hey, Dad, I'm good. I got this. I'm going to go to the bathroom by myself. I'm going to wipe by myself. I'm going to get dressed by myself. I was like, thank God, dear God, thank you. Thank you. She's growing up. I'm so happy now that I don't have to wipe her butt. Right? So it's all a struggle. Life is a struggle where we struggle to learn. And if you think about this, life is all about learning. I've said it a million times. Your challenge doesn't have to be a physical challenge. It could just be literally an intellectual challenge. You can go pick up a book and just read every single day for 365 days. And in doing that, you're learning. You're learning something. Even if you're, and I said this not too long ago, even if you're reading a fictional novel, at very least, you're improving your reading skills. At very least. Because the more you read, the better you read. The more you read, the better you become at reading. At least. That's the very least thing that you get out of it. So, when you're thinking about, little changes in your life, remember that little changes, these little tiny changes, create massive impact in your life. It's not about overhauling your life. And don't let anybody else be negative about the stuff that you do and allow them to create space in your head. Because one of the things that I notice, sometimes people just get jealous. You ever feel that way? Sometimes people will flag you, or they'll comment negatively on something you posted, or they'll talk to their friends. Oh, there's that guy, or there's that girl. Oh my God, can you believe it? The picture she put on her Facebook. You know what? At the end of the day, maybe they're just reflecting their internal self in the way they're expressing themselves. Because one of the things that I can tell you is this. I have been blessed, and I have had the opportunity to meet some really successful people. I'm talking like extremely successful people. Okay? And one thing that I found in common? Not one of them craps on what you're doing. None. They're always excited about what you're doing. They're always excited about if you're doing something and you're like, hey, I'm trying to learn this. They're like, oh wow, really? When I was your age, I did this, and that. It really worked. And they give you advice. They share information. Sometimes if they're in the space, they might even offer to mentor you. Those are people that don't have internal issues that get reflected in their negative comments. But what I find also interesting is the people that are flagging you, or they're commenting negatively, or making those sidebar conversations with their friends. Oh my God, look at them, right? Those guys, they're sitting there and they're talking about, that dude's crazy, he's running, but they're like 300 pounds. Or, oh my God, I can't believe she wore those jeans. And they're like 500 pounds. Yeah, you're going to be upset because you can't wear them. Because you can't run. Or because you're not willing, because realistically you could wear them. And you could run. And you could do something better for yourself. So remember, Think about this for a second. And again, I'm talking to you, girl. I'm talking to you, my little girl. Think about this for a second. If you're really happy with where you are, do you find yourself commenting negatively about other people? And if you do find yourself commenting negatively about other people, I want to invite you to stop and take a second and think about why. Why does it matter that she wore what she wore or the picture that she posted? Why does that bother you specifically so much? Why does it bother you that the other person is in such great shape or that they're so successful? Why? And you're going to find out that 99% of the time, it's going to be some type of jealousy. You don't feel like you're able to do it. You don't feel like life has been fair with you. You don't feel that, you've had those breaks that person has had in their success. And I'm going to clarify something for you. I'm going to clarify something for a lot of you right now. Nothing in life is about fair and not fair. Life is about learning and pushing yourself to grow, to be better, to be a better person. It's not about how much money you have. It's not about how many people show up to your birthday party. It's not about how many followers you have or how many, it's about you versus you. It's about you doing the things that make you a better person, and in the process, shaping yourself into something that is creating something positive in the world. It's about learning how to become. It's about learning how, while you're becoming, you're also impacting the world. Because I'm going to tell you another little secret. This isn't home. This isn't home. We're all leaving. We are all going to leave this place. And the question is, are you gonna be remembered as the person that's constantly being negative and talking crap about others? Or are you gonna be remembered as somebody who created positive impact in the world? How are you gonna leave this place? Are you gonna leave it a better place? Or are you gonna leave it filled with hatred, despair? I think if everybody stopped to think about that for 1 second, you would change the way you maybe look at things. Because ultimately, think about it. We can spend our life being haters. We can spend our life being negative about other people, pushing for segregation of class, segregation of races, segregations of I don't like what people wear, segregate, different social circles, and let's hate on the gay people, let's hate on this race or that race, or let's just all hate each other. Let's just all hate each other. I hate everybody. and what would that world be like? Do you think about how horrible that world would be like? It would be horrible. Or you could spend your life putting an end to hate. There's a lot of religious people out there that I often say they miss Sunday school, because in Sunday school I learned that, and I went to a Catholic academy for a large portion of my elementary, by the way. But in Sunday school I learned that we're supposed to love each other. We're not supposed to cast judgment. God stepped in the way of a mob of people that were going to stone a prostitute, and he said, if you have no sense, cast the first stone. The message behind that was, you're not perfect, and unless you're perfect, you shouldn't judge others. And that's such an important message. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of times people's negativity will create space in your head, and then you start thinking things like 0.04 of a mile is 400ths of a mile. Why am I so happy? Why am I running? Why am I trying so hard at work? Nobody likes me because I'm not at their social gathering, because I'm not playing the political game. I should just quit. And it's because the negativity is creating space in your head. And you need to be strong-willed. You need to be strong-minded. You need to remember that you're not competing with them. It's not about them. You're not doing the good things in the world for them. You're doing it for the world. You're doing it for you. Because when you do something good, you're creating good energy around you. When you're putting something positive out there, it doesn't matter if people don't like it, because you know what? The only reason why they don't like it is because they haven't had the idea to do it. Because they couldn't get the idea first. And because they feel that because they weren't first at it, they can't do it anymore. Which is another limiting belief, by the way. There's millions of people out there doing the same thing, and they're all successful at it. There's millions of people that are out there being athletes, and they're all successful at it. There's millions of people that are executives, and they're all successful at it. There's millions of people there's a million donut shops up there, and they're all successful. There's a million fast food places, and they're all successful, and they all serve the same thing, hamburgers and fries. So at the end of the day, just because somebody did it first doesn't mean that you can't do it. That's another limiting belief. And it's important to identify limiting beliefs, because it's going to help you become strong in your mind. It's going to help you become strong in here. And when you're strong in here and you understand that what you're doing is for you to better yourself and for you to create a positive impact in the world, for you to create. That's the crazy thing, is we have the power of creation. If you know anything about the idea of God, is that God created us in his image and essence, and he gave us the power to create. That's why we create. That's why man created cars. That's why man creates houses. That's why man creates and creates and creates and creates the internet and creates software. That's why, because we have the power to create. And you have the power to create positive in the world. You have the power to create and paint your world, paint your canvas, paint your life with bright colors or dark colors. You just have to choose which colors you want to use on your canvas. So, 400ths of a mile, I'm excited. And I hope that my videos and my messages inspire you to do something good for yourself and for your loved ones, and that you impact the world in a positive place. Thank you so much. You guys have a great day.